Embark on an Ice Age odyssey as we unravel the enigmatic Solutrean culture, decoding ancient mysteries that challenge our understanding of prehistoric innovation.
Say the word Solutrean to an archaeologist, this is the tool that often comes to mind, this bi-pointed knife-like tool.
From revolutionary stone tools to controversial migration theories, journey through time to explore how these Ice Age pioneers may have shaped human history.
The first migration must have been along the West Coast.
Delve into a world where archaeological discoveries blur the lines between established facts and tantalizing possibilities, revealing a past more complex and interconnected than we ever imagined. Number 15. Emergence during the last glacial Ice Age period. The frigid winds howl across the desolate landscape, whipping up snow and ice as far as the eye can see. This isn't a scene from a dystopian future, but a glimpse into our distant past. The last glacial maximum, a time when our ancestors faced nature's most formidable challenge. Around 26,500 years ago, Earth plunged into one of its most severe ice ages. Massive ice sheets blanketed vast swaths of the northern hemisphere, locking up so much water that sea levels dropped by hundreds of feet. Temperatures plummeted, transforming lush forests into barren tundra and pushing the boundaries of human endurance to their limits. But humanity, as it turns out, is nothing if not adaptable. In the face of this unforgiving world, our ancestors didn't just survive, they thrived. The Solutrean culture emerged during this harsh period, named after the site of Solutrean in east-central France, where their distinctive tools were first discovered. These Ice Age pioneers were master craftsmen, developing some of the most sophisticated stone tools ever seen. Their signature leaf-shaped spear points, finely worked using pressure-flaking techniques, were technological marvels of their time. These weren't just weapons, they were a testament to human ingenuity and the drive to innovate even in the most challenging circumstances. But survival in this frozen world required more than just good weapons. The Solutreans developed advanced clothing techniques, creating layered garments from animal skins that could withstand the brutal cold. They constructed sturdy shelters, often using mammoth bones as supports, creating warm havens against the relentless chill. As the ice advanced, it reshaped the very face of the Earth. Sea levels dropped so low that new land bridges appeared, connecting continents that had long been separated. The most famous of these, the Bering Land Bridge, linked Asia and North America, potentially allowing for human migration into the New World. While the exact timing and routes of these migrations are still debated, the last glacial maximum undoubtedly played a crucial role in shaping human population movements and genetic diversity. Despite the hardships, or perhaps because of them, this era saw an explosion of cultural innovation. The caves of France and Spain bear witness to the artistic flowering of this period, with stunning paintings depicting the megafauna that roamed the Ice Age landscapes. These weren't just pretty pictures, they were likely imbued with deep spiritual and cultural significance, perhaps serving as a form of prehistoric cinema, telling stories and preserving knowledge for future generations. The Solutrean people didn't just create art, they adorned themselves with it. Intricate jewelry made from shells, teeth, and carved bone speaks to a rich symbolic world and complex social structures. These weren't just trinkets, but markers of identity, status, and belonging in a world where group cohesion could mean the difference between life and death. The last glacial maximum forced humans to cooperate on an unprecedented scale. Hunting large game like woolly mammoths or steppe bison required coordinated group efforts. Sharing food, knowledge, and resources became essential survival strategies, laying the groundwork for more complex social organizations. As we uncover more about the Solutrean culture and other Ice Age societies, we're continually amazed by their resilience and creativity. They didn't just weather the storm, they used it as a catalyst for innovation. Their story is a powerful reminder of human potential in the face of adversity. The legacy of the last glacial maximum in cultures like the Solutreans extends far beyond their time. The survival strategies, technologies, and social structures developed during this period laid the foundations for later civilizations. As we face our own era of climate change and environmental challenges, there's much we can learn from these ancient innovators who thrived in the face of nature's most extreme test. Number 14. Descendants of the Gravettian culture. 30,000 years ago, as mammoths roamed the frozen steppes of Ice Age Europe, a remarkable culture was taking shape. The Gravettians weren't just survivors in a harsh world, they were innovators who laid the groundwork for human civilization as we know it. Imagine the setting of a Gravettian camp. Sturdy huts with smoke curling from their tops dot the landscape. Inside, families huddle around fires, working on intricate tools and jewelry. This wasn't just a temporary shelter, but a semi-permanent settlement, a revolutionary concept for its time. These early architects created homes that could withstand the brutal Ice Age winters, marking a significant shift from the nomadic lifestyles of their ancestors. But the Gravettians' true claim to fame lies in their exquisite craftsmanship. Their toolkits were a Stone Age Swiss Army knife featuring a diverse array of specialized implements. The iconic gravet point, a small, sharp blade with a distinct backing, was a game-changer in hunting technology. These weren't just weapons, they were precision instruments that allowed for more efficient use of scarce resources. Art flourished in Gravettian society, reaching new heights of sophistication. The famous Venus figurines, with their exaggerated feminine features, have puzzled and fascinated archaeologists for generations. Were they fertility symbols, representations of goddesses, or perhaps ancient selfies created by women looking down at their own bodies? Whatever their purpose, these statuettes reveal a culture deeply engaged with symbolic thought and artistic expression. As the glaciers began their slow retreat around 22,000 years ago, the Gravettian culture didn't simply disappear. Instead, it evolved, giving rise to new cultures that built upon its foundations. The Epigravettian culture in southern and eastern Europe continued many Gravettian traditions, adapting them to the changing environment. Further west, the Magdalenian culture emerged, taking stone tool technology and cave art to new levels of refinement. These descendants of the Gravettians were the ultimate adapters. As the climate warmed and ecosystems shifted, they modified their hunting strategies, tool designs, and social structures. The Magdalenians, for instance, developed the spear thrower, a tool that dramatically increased the power and range of hunting weapons. This innovation allowed them to take down large game from a safer distance, a crucial advantage in the still dangerous post-glacial world. The Gravettian legacy wasn't confined to technology and art. Their social innovations were equally profound. Evidence suggests they had complex social networks spanning large areas, facilitating the exchange of ideas, materials, and even marriage partners. This interconnectedness laid the groundwork for the expansion of human populations across Europe and beyond. As we piece together the story of the Gravettians and their descendants, we're uncovering a tale of human resilience and creativity that resonates strongly today. These ancient innovators faced challenges that would make our toughest days seem like a walk in the park. Yet they not only survived, but thrived, pushing the boundaries of what was possible with the limited resources at their disposal. Number 13. Exquisite stone tool craftsmanship. In the frigid depths of the last ice age, when survival hinged on the sharpness of one's tools and the keenness of one's wit, a group of ancient artisans elevated stone toolmaking from mere craft to high art. Welcome to the world of the Solutreans, the master craftsmen of the Upper Paleolithic. Flourishing between 22,000 and 17,000 years ago in what we now call southwestern France and the Iberian Peninsula, the Solutreans weren't content with just making tools that worked. They pushed the boundaries of what was possible with stone, creating objects of such exquisite beauty and precision that they still leave archaeologists in awe today. The crown jewel of Solutrean craftsmanship was the laurel leaf blade. Picture a spear point so thin it would put modern craftsmen to shame, yet strong enough to bring down a woolly mammoth. These weren't just weapons, they were masterpieces, requiring hundreds of carefully placed strikes to shape. The level of skill needed to create these blades was so high that some archaeologists believe only a small group of elite craftsmen could produce them. But how did they achieve such precision? The Solutreans were innovators, pioneering techniques that would revolutionize stone tool-making. They discovered that heating flint before working it made it easier to shape, allowing for finer control. This heat treatment, combined with a technique called pressure flaking, using bone tools to apply precise pressure to remove tiny flakes, allowed for an unprecedented level of detail and refinement in their work. The Solutrean toolkit wasn't limited to spear points. They crafted an array of specialized tools for different tasks. Delicate needles for sewing warm clothing, robust scrapers for preparing hides, and precise burins for working bone and antler. Each tool was a testament to their deep understanding of materials and their environment. These weren't just utilitarian objects, though. Many Solutrean tools show evidence of elaborate decoration, suggesting they held symbolic or social significance beyond their practical use. A beautifully crafted spear point might have been as much a status symbol as a hunting tool, marking its owner as a skilled provider or respected member of the community. The sophistication of Solutrean technology hints at a well-organized society with specialized roles. Master craftsmen likely held positions of prestige, passing down their knowledge through apprenticeships. This system of knowledge transmission ensured that hard-won technological advances weren't lost to time. The Solutrean artistic flair wasn't limited to tools. They were also accomplished cave painters and carvers, leaving behind haunting images of Ice Age animals and abstract symbols that still captivate us today. This rich symbolic world, combined with their technological prowess, paints a picture of a culture with a complex understanding of both the material and spiritual realms. The influence of Solutrean craftsmanship extended far beyond their time. Their techniques set new standards for stone tool-making, influencing subsequent cultures across Europe and possibly beyond. Some controversial theories even suggest that Solutrean technology might have made its way to North America, though this remains a topic of heated debate among archaeologists. Number 12. Franco-Cantabrian region. Step into a time machine and journey back 40,000 years to the Franco-Cantabrian region, a prehistoric powerhouse of human creativity and innovation. This isn't just any patch of land, it's the canvas upon which our Ice Age ancestors painted their stories, hopes, and fears, leaving behind a legacy that continues to captivate us today. The Franco-Cantabrian region, which stretches across southwestern France and northern Spain, provided early humans with refuge during the harsh Ice Age. This region provided an unexpected reprieve from the bitter tundra that ensnared most of Europe. Its diverse topography, which included coastal plains, sheltered valleys, and rolling hills, produced microclimates that were home to a wide variety of flora and fauna. For the hunters and gatherers who preceded us, it was prime territory. But the true magic of this region lies hidden beneath the ground and deep within its limestone caverns. Here, in the flickering light of animal fat lamps, our ancestors created masterpieces that would remain unseen for millennia. The caves of Lascaux, Altamira, Chauvet, and El Castillo aren't just geological formations, they're time capsules preserving the dawn of human artistic expression. Set against the backdrop of a menagerie of incredibly lifelike painted animals that seem to be ready to jump out of the walls, picture yourself in the Great Hall of Lascaux. Horses, aurochs, and mammoths dance over the sheer face of rock, their forms expertly sculpted to fit the cave's organic curves. This is sophisticated art that shows a profound understanding of anatomy, perspective, and composition. It is not crude graffiti. But why did our ancestors spend countless hours in the dark depths of these caves, creating art that in some cases would never be seen again in their lifetimes? The answer lies in the power of symbolism and ritual. These cave paintings weren't just pretty pictures, they were likely integral to the spiritual and social life of Upper Paleolithic communities. Some researchers believe the act of painting deep in these caves was a form of shamanic ritual, with the underground realm representing a passage to the spirit world. Others suggest the art played a role in initiation rites or hunting magic. Whatever their specific purpose, these images bound communities together, creating shared narratives and beliefs that helped our ancestors navigate the challenges of Ice Age life. It wasn't just visual art that flourished in the Franco-Cantabrian region. The caves have yielded a treasure trove of artifacts that paint a vivid picture of daily life. Finely crafted tools, delicate jewelry, and even musical instruments like bone flutes showcase the rich material culture of these Ice Age societies. One of the most intriguing aspects of Franco-Cantabrian art is its consistency over vast stretches of time. Similar artistic styles and motifs have appeared across the region for thousands of years, suggesting a remarkably stable cultural tradition. This continuity in the face of dramatic climate changes and shifts in available resources speaks to the resilience and adaptability of our ancestors. The legacy of the Franco-Cantabrian region extends far beyond its beautiful art. By studying these sites, archaeologists and anthropologists are gaining crucial insights into the cognitive development of early humans. The sophisticated symbolism and planning evident in these artworks suggests levels of abstract thinking and social cooperation that were key to our species' success. Moreover, the Franco-Cantabrian sites challenge our preconceptions about primitive societies. The skill and creativity on display rival those of much later civilizations, forcing us to reconsider what our ancestors were capable of with limited technology but boundless imagination. Not only are we finding artifacts in the Franco-Cantabrian region, but we are also reestablishing a connection with our distant past as we investigate and learn more about it. Our Ice Age ancestors' thoughts and emotions can be directly accessed through these caves' eerie depictions of long-extinct animals and mysterious symbols. As old as humanity itself, they serve as a reminder of the human need to create, express, and find meaning in the world. The next time you're doodling during a boring meeting or belting out your favorite song in the shower, remember, you're part of a creative lineage that stretches back over 40,000 years to the painters of Lascaux and the flute players of the Paleolithic. The Franco-Cantabrian region may be rooted in the distant past, but its echoes resonate in every work of art we create today. Number 11. Archaeological discoveries. Dust swirls in the air as a trowel scrapes against ancient soil. Suddenly, a glint catches the archaeologist's eye. Another piece of the Solutrean puzzle has emerged from its 20,000-year slumber. Welcome to the thrilling world of Ice Age archaeology, where each discovery brings us face to face with our resourceful ancestors. The Solutrean culture, thriving during the harshest period of the last Ice Age, has left behind a treasure trove of artifacts that continue to astound researchers. These aren't just dusty old relics, they're windows into a world of innovation and survival against incredible odds. Let's start with the stars of the show, Solutrean tools. Excavations have unearthed an impressive array of flint implements that showcase the pinnacle of Stone Age craftsmanship. These tools demonstrate a level of skill that would make modern flint knappers green with envy. But it's not just their beauty that's impressive. These tools were precision instruments, perfectly designed for hunting the megafauna that roamed Ice Age Europe. Regarding hunting, the remains provide a wealth of information. Remains of giant deer, woolly rhinos, and mammoths have all been found at dig sites, a veritable buffet of Ice Age creatures. However, it is not just about what they hunted, it is also about how they utilized every aspect of the animal. Not only were bones recycled, but they were also made into tools like awls, needles, and even musical instruments. Talk about prehistoric recycling. The Solutreans weren't always on the move. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of semi-permanent camps, giving us a glimpse into their daily lives. These sites paint a picture of a well-organized society with areas dedicated to tool-making, food preparation, and possibly even ritual activities. One can almost hear the chatter around the campfire as hunters plan their next expedition or elders pass down crucial survival knowledge. But it's not all utilitarian finds. The Solutreans had an artistic side too. Excavations have revealed ornate jewelry made from shells and animal teeth, suggesting a culture that valued personal adornment and possibly used these items as markers of status or group identity. And let's not forget the cave art. While not as famous as later Magdalenian paintings, Solutrean artistic expressions offer tantalizing clues about their worldview and spiritual beliefs. One of the most exciting aspects of Solutrean archaeology is how it's changing our understanding of prehistoric trade networks. Exotic materials found far from their sources suggest these Ice Age folk weren't isolated bands, but part of a larger interconnected world. Imagine the stories exchanged along with those traded goods. Every dig brings new surprises. Recent excavations have uncovered evidence of heat-treated flint, a technological innovation that made their exquisite stone tools possible. This discovery has archaeologists reconsidering just how advanced Solutrean technology really was. We are discovering more than just the remnants of a vanished civilization as we try to solve the Solutrean puzzle. We are learning more about how adaptive and resilient people can be when faced with overwhelming adversity. These archaeological discoveries serve as a reminder that innovation is not just a modern idea. Our ancestors were always pushing the envelope of what was feasible given the limited resources available to them. Number 10. Large bifacial points for hunting. In the grip of the last ice age, when survival hinged on the sharpness of one's tools and the accuracy of one's throw, the Solutrean people emerged as the undisputed masters of stone weaponry. Their claim to fame? The large bifacial points, a technological marvel that would make even modern engineers tip their hats in respect. Imagine a spear tip so expertly crafted it could pierce the thick hide of a mammoth, yet so precisely balanced it could fly true over long distances. These weren't just tools, they were works of art with a lethal purpose. Measuring anywhere from 10 to 30 centimeters, these leaf-shaped points were the prehistoric equivalent of a high-tech missile. But what was it about these points that was unique? The secret lay in the Solutrean technique of bifacial flaking. Stone knapping like this was not your typical experience. The thin, symmetrical blade with razor-sharp edges was crafted by Solutrean artisans by removing flakes from both sides of the tool. The level of skill required was astronomical. One wrong strike and hours of work could be ruined. These weren't just showpieces, though. The large bifacial points were the apex predator's best friend, designed for bringing down the Ice Age megafauna that roamed Europe 22,000 to 17,000 years ago. Reindeer, horses, bison, and even woolly mammoths were all fair game for a skilled Solutrean hunter armed with these formidable weapons. But how did they hunt with these oversized arrowheads? Evidence suggests the Solutreans were tactical geniuses, employing both ambush and drive hunting techniques. Imagine a group of hunters herding a mammoth towards a hidden ravine where their comrades lay in wait with spears tipped with these deadly points. It was a dangerous game, but one that kept the tribe fed through the harsh Ice Age winters. These points had an effect outside of the hunting areas as well. Their extensive dispersion throughout Europe suggests a highly developed system of interaction and commerce between Solutrean communities. These were not isolated groups fighting for survival. Rather, they belonged to a wider culture that shared innovations and methods over great distances. Beyond their culture, the Solutreans left behind a rich legacy of craftsmanship. The methods they developed for making tools had an impact on generations after them. The accuracy and inventiveness of Solutrean flint knappers literally set the stage for the technological revolutions that would transpire thousands of years later. As we uncover more about these large bifacial points, we're gaining invaluable insights into the minds of our Ice Age ancestors. These weren't simple cavemen fumbling in the dark. The Solutreans were innovators, problem solvers who looked at a piece of flint and saw not just a rock, but a canvas for their ingenuity. Their story is a testament to human adaptability. Faced with one of the most challenging environments in Earth's history, the Solutreans didn't just survive, they thrived, pushing the boundaries of what was possible with stone technology. So, the next time you're struggling with a difficult task, remember the Solutrean crafters. With nothing but stone tools and their wits, they created weapons of such precision and beauty that they still leave us in awe 20,000 years later. It's a powerful reminder that innovation isn't about having the most advanced technology, it's about making the most of what you have, with skill, patience, and a healthy dose of creative thinking. Number 9. Use of high-quality flint. There are differences among rocks when it comes to surviving the Ice Age. Just ask the Solutreans, the prehistoric connoisseurs of high-quality flint. These artisans from the Stone Age were not satisfied with just any old pebble they could dig up from the earth. No, they were on a quest for the creme de la creme of the ancient world. Consider the hand of a toolmaker from Solutrean who flourished circa 20,000 BCE, caressing a piece of flint. To the uninformed observer, it could appear to be just another rock. However, this expert on the Ice Age sees it as a potential gold mine. It is more than just stone. Its finely grained structure and consistent shell-like fractures serve as the building blocks for creativity and survival. The worst part is that the ideal fragment of flint was not always in the backyard. The Solutreans were known to embark on epic quests, trekking across what we now call France, Spain, and Portugal in search of the good stuff. Imagine braving Ice Age conditions, dodging saber-toothed cats and woolly rhinos, all for a superior chunk of rock. That's dedication to your craft. Once they got their hands on that prime flint, the real magic began. The Solutreans weren't just knocking rocks together, they were pioneers of pressure flaking, a technique that allowed for unprecedented precision in toolmaking. By applying careful pressure with a bone or antler tool, they could remove tiny flakes from their flint cores, shaping them into tools so thin and symmetrical they'd make a modern surgeon jealous. The crown jewel of Solutrean flint knapping was the large bifacial point. These weren't your run-of-the-mill arrowheads. We're talking about sleek, leaf-shaped projectiles up to a foot long. A mammoth might laugh off a pebble, but one of these finely crafted spear points? That's a whole different ballgame. But let's not pigeonhole the Solutreans as mere hunters. Their mastery of flint went beyond just making pointy sticks. They crafted an entire toolkit. Scrapers for working hides, burins for engraving bone and antler, and delicate blades for all sorts of precise work. It was like they had a prehistoric Swiss Army knife. Each tool was a separate masterpiece of flint knapping. Here's a mind-bender. These exquisite tools might have been more than just practical objects. In a world where survival hung by a thread, the ability to craft superior tools could have been a major status symbol. Imagine the neighborhood cave gossip. Did you see Grog's new flint blade? I heard he traveled 3 moons to get that stone. Show off. The Solutrean obsession with quality flint and superior craftsmanship didn't die with them. Their techniques and standards influenced later cultures, setting a high bar for prehistoric toolmaking. In a way, these Ice Age innovators kicked off a technological revolution that echoes through history. Learning more about the Solutreans and their passion for fine flint is providing us with priceless new insights into life in the prehistoric era. These were not just some group of cavemen hitting each other with sticks. They were expert craftspeople, engineers, and problem solvers who were expanding the frontiers of stone technology. Therefore, keep your Solutrean ancestors in mind the next time you are frustrated with a do-it-yourself project. Number 8. Artistic achievements. Hold on to your paintbrushes, because we're about to dive into the world of Ice Age Picassos. The Solutrean culture wasn't just about surviving the harsh climate. These prehistoric prodigies were busy creating an artistic revolution that would make even modern galleries sit up and take notice. Let's start with their canvas choices. While today's artists might fret over finding the perfect stretched linen, Solutrean creators saw potential in everything around them. Bones became canvases for intricate engravings, antlers transformed into miniature sculptures, and even chunks of ivory were fair game for their artistic vision. Talk about working with what you've got. Yet these are not to be confused with insignificant scratch marks or simple doodling. The level of detail in Solutrean portable art would make a watchmaker's eyes water. Envision grasping a tiny fragment of bone, no larger than your palm, adorned with incredibly realistic animals that seem poised to jump out of the surface. These were not merely beautiful images, rather they were brief depictions of the world during the Ice Age, encapsulating the spirit of the animals that coexisted in their hostile surroundings. And let's talk about their color palette. While they might not have had access to the 64-pack of crayons we're used to, the Solutreans made the most of what nature provided. Ochre, a natural pigment ranging from yellow to deep red, was their go-to for adding a pop of color to their creations. The use of these exotic materials wasn't just about aesthetics, It likely held deep symbolic and ritual significance, turning everyday objects into powerful talismans. But the Solutreans weren't content with just pocket-sized masterpieces. They took their art to the big screen, or rather the big rock face. Cave walls and rock shelters became their galleries, adorned with engravings and paintings that have stood the test of time. These weren't random scribbles, but carefully composed scenes, often featuring the animals that played central roles in their lives. It's like they were creating their own prehistoric documentaries, etched in stone for future generations to marvel at. What's truly mind-blowing about Solutrean art is the cognitive leap it represents. Creating these intricate designs required advanced planning, spatial reasoning, and symbolic thinking. In other words, these weren't just talented artists, they were showcasing the kind of brain power that sets humans apart in the animal kingdom. The influence of Solutrean artistry didn't end with their culture. Their techniques and motifs laid the groundwork for subsequent prehistoric art traditions, creating a legacy that echoed through millennia. It's like they were the trendsetters of the Paleolithic world, setting artistic standards that would be admired and emulated for generations to come. So the next time you're feeling creatively blocked, channel your inner Solutrean artist. They didn't let a little thing like an ice age stop them from expressing themselves. With nothing but natural materials and boundless imagination, they created works of art that still have the power to move us 20,000 years later. Now that's what you call leaving a lasting impression. Number 7. Trade and social networks. Who says social networking is a modern invention? Long before Facebook and Twitter, our Solutrean ancestors were busy creating their own version of a prehistoric LinkedIn, connecting communities across Ice Age Europe in ways that would make Mark Zuckerberg jealous. Picture this. It's 20,000 BCE and you're a Solutrean toolmaker with a reputation for crafting the sharpest spear points on this side of the glacier. Word of your skills has spread far and wide, carried along ancient trade routes by intrepid travelers braving saber-toothed cats and woolly rhinos. Suddenly, you're not just a local artisan, you're part of a vast network spanning hundreds of miles. But what were they trading? Well, forget about cat videos and memes. The hottest commodity in the Solutrean world was high-quality flint. This wasn't your average rock. We're talking about the kind of stone that could make the difference between a successful mammoth hunt and going to bed hungry. And some deposits were so prized that people would trek across frozen landscapes just to get their hands on them. These trade networks weren't just about swapping rocks, though. They were information superhighways, Ice Age style. As goods changed hands, so did ideas. New tool-making techniques, hunting strategies, and even artistic styles spread like wildfire, or maybe more like a slowly advancing glacier, given the time period. It was like a prehistoric TED conference with every exchange potentially sparking the next big innovation. The social aspect of these networks can't be overstated. In a world where the next meal is never guaranteed, having connections with distant groups could mean the difference between survival and extinction. Bad hunting season in your area? No problem. Your trading partners 2 valleys over might be willing to share their surplus. It was the original backup plan, Paleolithic edition. But let's not forget the human element in all this. These weren't just faceless transactions, they were opportunities for cultural exchange, forging alliances, and maybe even for finding that special someone from the clan next door. Imagine the stories shared around campfires as traders recounted their journeys, describing landscapes and creatures that listeners could only dream of. The sophistication of these networks challenges our preconceptions about primitive societies. These weren't simple-minded cave dwellers stumbling through life. The Solutreans were master strategists, balancing complex social relationships and economic considerations in ways that wouldn't look out of place in a modern business school textbook. We are learning vital lessons about the origins of human society as more proof of these trade networks is found by archaeologists. Not only were the Solutreans creating the foundation for future economic systems, but they were also demonstrating the enormous potential of collaboration and communication. Thus, remember your Solutrean ancestors the next time you browse through your social media feed. Even though they lacked smartphones and internet access, they recognized the importance of maintaining a connection. They constructed networks that crossed continents and endured through time using only stone tools and their shinning. Actually, we are all still riding the waves of those long-ago bonds they made in the icy depths of the Ice Age. Number 6. Advanced hunting techniques. Forget everything you think you know about primitive hunting. The Solutreans, masters of Ice Age survival, were operating on a whole different level. These weren't just lucky cavemen stumbling upon their next meal, they were the Navy SEALs of the Paleolithic world, armed with cutting-edge technology and tactics that would make modern hunters green with envy. Now let us discuss their hidden weapon, the large bifacial point. This spearhead was unlike any other, but having a great weapon is only half the battle. The Solutreans knew that outsmarting their prey was just as important as outgunning them. They developed a diverse playbook of hunting strategies that would put any NFL coach to shame. Ambush hunting? Check. Drive hunting? You bet. These Ice Age tacticians could read the landscape and animal behavior like an open book, turning every hunt into a carefully orchestrated operation. Imagine a herd of reindeer being stalked by a group of hunters from Solutrean. They are not simply throwing caution to the wind. No, they have watched the herd's movements closely, located the ideal choke point in the terrain, and placed their best throwers at precisely the appropriate times. When the signal is given, the situation is not one of chaos, but rather a skillfully coordinated dance of spears and strategy that increases their chances of success against creatures far larger and more powerful than them. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Solutreans weren't just hunting for today's dinner. Their advanced techniques allowed them to take down massive prey like woolly mammoths. This wasn't just about scoring a big meal, it was about securing a food source that could sustain an entire community for weeks. Talk about thinking big. The impact of these hunting innovations went far beyond just filling bellies. They shaped the entire Solutrean culture, influencing everything from their social structures to their artistic expressions. Those beautiful cave paintings of animals, they weren't just pretty pictures. They were records of hard-won knowledge, passing down hunting wisdom to future generations. We are learning a great deal about the hunting techniques used by the Solutreans, which is providing us with an important new understanding of their inventiveness. These weren't simple cavemen fumbling in the dark. Their ability to solve problems was exceptional, and they never stopped coming up with new ideas to endure in one of the most hostile environments that humanity has ever encountered. Their legacy lived on long after the ice retreated. The hunting techniques pioneered by the Solutreans laid the groundwork for subsequent cultures, shaping the way humans interacted with their environment for millennia to come. In a very real sense, every time a modern hunter takes aim at their prey, they're tapping into a tradition that stretches back 20,000 years to those Ice Age innovators. Therefore, the next time you are having trouble solving a challenging issue, embrace your inner hunter from Solutrean. It is what you would refer to as genuine innovation under duress. Number 5. Dietary practices. Ever wondered what the ultimate paleo diet looked like? Well, buckle up, food enthusiasts, because we're about to take a culinary journey back to the real deal, the Solutrean culture of Ice Age Europe. These weren't your run-of-the-mill prehistoric snackers, they were the iron chefs of the Paleolithic, whipping up survival strategies that would make Bear Grylls look like an amateur. The main course, the big game, is what we should start with. We are discussing horses, woolly mammoths, and reindeer, the pièce de résistance. Scooping up one of these monsters was more than just dinner. It was a win that could keep a whole town full for weeks. Hunting megafauna became an art form for Solutrean hunters who were armed with their distinctively large bifacial points. But here's where it gets interesting. The Solutreans weren't just about the big kills, they were the original proponents of the balanced diet concept, long before nutritionists made it cool. Small game like rabbits and birds? On the menu. Fish from rivers and coastal areas? You bet. And let's not forget the gathered plant foods. Berries, nuts, and edible plants that added crucial vitamins and variety to their diet. This diverse menu wasn't just about satisfying different taste buds, it was a brilliant survival strategy. By not putting all their mammoth steaks in one basket, the Solutreans ensured they had food options regardless of what Mother Nature threw their way. Bad hunting season? There's no problem when you've got fishing skills and foraging knowledge to fall back on. Now let's talk cooking. The Solutreans weren't just tossing raw meat on a stick and calling it a day. They developed cooking techniques that would make a modern chef envious. Roasting meat over open fires didn't just make it tastier, it made it easier to digest and boosted its nutritional value. It's like they invented the first slow cooker, Ice Age edition. But dietary practices weren't just about filling bellies, they were the social glue that held Solutrean communities together. Imagine the scene: a successful mammoth hunt followed by a community feast. As the meat sizzles over the fire, stories are shared, bonds are strengthened, and cultural traditions are passed down. It's the original dinner party with a side of survival skills. The Solutreans' deep understanding of their environment shines through in their dietary choices. They weren't just eating what was available, they were making informed decisions based on seasonal availability and nutritional needs. It's like they had an internal almanac guiding them to the right food sources at the right times. We are learning vital lessons about the resourcefulness of our Ice Age forebears as we continue to piece together Solutrean eating habits. These were not your average cavemen gorging on uncooked meat. They were expert strategists who struck a balance between cultural customs, resource management, and nutrition to guarantee not only survival but also flourishing during one of the worst times in Earth's history. Think of your Solutrean ancestors the next time you are preparing a meal or hosting a dinner party. They developed a culinary culture that got them through the Ice Age and set the foundation for human eating habits for millennia with nothing more than stone tools and their intelligence. Now that's what you call food for thought.
Number 4. Burial practices. When it comes to the Solutrean culture's approach to death, we're faced with a prehistoric puzzle. Unlike their ancestors or the cultures that followed, the Solutreans seem to have taken a less is more approach to burial practices. It's as if they decided to zag while everyone else was zigging. Now don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean the Solutreans didn't care about their dead, far from it. But their approach to death and burial is a stark contrast to the elaborate rituals we often associate with prehistoric peoples. It's like they were the minimalists of the Paleolithic world. So, what's the deal? Well, archaeologists have been scratching their heads over this one for years. The Solutrean period, spanning from about 22,000 to 17,000 years ago, has left us with surprisingly few identified burial sites. It's as if these Ice Age innovators, known for their exquisite stone tools and hunting prowess, decided to keep things low-key when it came to saying goodbye. This scarcity of burial evidence is particularly intriguing when you consider the rich cultural tapestry the Solutreans left behind in other areas. We're talking about people who created stunning cave art, crafted intricate jewelry, and developed tool-making techniques that were light years ahead of their time. Yet when it came to burials, they seem to have opted for the no fuss, no muss approach. That becomes really interesting, though, at this point. Evidence of absence need not always be present in the absence of other evidence. Just because we haven't found many Solutrean burials doesn't mean they didn't have meaningful ways of dealing with death. It's possible that their practices simply didn't leave much of an archaeological footprint. Maybe they had rituals that didn't involve physical interment. Perhaps they practiced exposure burials, leaving their dead in specific places to return to the natural world. Or maybe they had ways of memorializing their departed that we just haven't figured out how to recognize yet. It's like trying to piece together a 20,000-year-old mystery with half the puzzle pieces missing. This minimalist approach to burial, if that's indeed what it was, raises fascinating questions about Solutrean beliefs and their view of life and death. In a harsh Ice Age world where survival was a daily challenge, perhaps they focused more on the practicalities of living than on elaborate send-offs for the dead. Or maybe their spiritual beliefs led them to view death in a way that didn't require physical monuments or burials. The scarcity of Solutrean burial sites also presents a unique challenge for archaeologists and anthropologists. It's forcing them to think outside the box and look for clues in unexpected places. Every tiny fragment of evidence becomes crucial when you're dealing with such a limited data set.
It's like trying to reconstruct an entire dinosaur from a single tooth. Challenging but potentially revolutionary if you get it right. The way the Solutreans approached death and burial is still one of the most fascinating mysteries we have to solve as we try to understand their culture. It serves as a reminder of how varied, intricate, and occasionally shocking the customs and beliefs of our forefathers were. Thus, keep the Solutreans in mind the next time you consider how we handle death in the modern world. They serve as a reminder that there is no one right way to enter the vast ability. You belong to a long history of people who have struggled with death, regardless of whether you choose a grandiose farewell or a straightforward return to nature. Consider the possibility that the Solutreans were early adopters of the maxim, less is more in certain situations. Number 3. Solutrean hypothesis. Grab your hats because we are going to discuss the Solutrean hypothesis, one of the most contentious theories in archaeology. It's like the plot of an Indiana Jones movie, but with more ice and fewer snakes. Here's the scoop. Some researchers have proposed that the Solutreans, our crafty Ice Age European ancestors, might have been the first to set foot in the Americas. That's right, we're talking about a potential transatlantic journey 20,000 years ago, long before Columbus even dreamed of sailing the ocean blue. The idea goes something like this. During the height of the last ice age, when sea levels were much lower, these Stone Age innovators might have island-hopped their way across the North Atlantic, following the edge of the ice sheets. Think of it as the ultimate road trip, except the road is made of ice and your car is a primitive boat. Proponents of this theory point to similarities between Solutrean stone tools and some of the earliest Native American artifacts. It's like finding a Paleolithic version of Made in Europe stamped on ancient American technology. But hold your horses before you rewrite those history books. The Solutrean hypothesis is more controversial than a pineapple on pizza. Many archaeologists and geneticists aren't buying it. Why? Well, for starters, there's a glaring lack of genetic evidence linking ancient Native Americans to European populations. It's like claiming you're related to royalty without having any family photos or DNA tests to back it up. The genetic data we do have suggests that Native Americans are descended from Asian populations who crossed the Bering Land Bridge, a much less dramatic but far more supported theory. Moreover, the timeline doesn't quite add up. The earliest well-established evidence of human presence in the Americas dates to several thousand years after the Solutrean culture had already disappeared in Europe. It's like showing up to a party long after the hosts have gone to bed. So where does this leave us? The Solutrean hypothesis remains a tantalizing what-if in the world of archaeology. It's a reminder that our understanding of human prehistory is constantly evolving and that there's still so much we don't know about our ancestors' movements and capabilities. Whether you find the idea intriguing or implausible, one thing's for sure: it's got people talking, debating, and digging deeper into the mysteries of our past. And in the end, isn't that what good science is all about? Number 2. Decoding and succession. The twilight of the Solutrean culture unfolds like a captivating archaeological mystery, leaving researchers to piece together clues from the distant past. As the last glacial period waned, so too did the influence of these Ice Age innovators. Their disappearance from the historical record coincides with the rise of a new cultural powerhouse, the Magdalenian. The transition between these two cultures wasn't a simple case of one replacing the other overnight. Instead, it was likely a gradual process, occurring over generations. As the climate shifted and resources changed, the Solutreans found themselves at a crossroads. Their once revolutionary stone tools, which had served them so well in the harsh conditions of the Ice Age, began to lose their edge, both literally and figuratively. Enter the Magdalenians, armed with new technologies and hunting strategies better suited to the evolving landscape. These newcomers didn't necessarily conquer the Solutreans in a dramatic showdown. Rather, they may have slowly integrated with them, sharing knowledge and intermingling populations. It's entirely possible that many Solutrean people simply adopted Magdalenian ways over time, their distinct cultural identity fading into the background like an old photograph. This process of cultural absorption is a recurring theme in human history. Just as modern societies blend and evolve, so too did these ancient cultures. The Solutreans' decline wasn't a failure, but a transformation. Their legacy lived on through the skills and genetic heritage they passed on to their successors. But what sparked this cultural shift? Some theories point to climate change as a key factor. As the ice sheets retreated and new ecosystems emerged, the highly specialized Solutrean toolkit may have become less effective. The Magdalenians, with their more adaptable technologies, were better positioned to thrive in this changing world. Another possibility is that population pressures played a role. As groups expanded and came into contact with one another, new ideas and technologies would have spread rapidly. The Magdalenian culture, originating further east, may have simply had a numerical advantage as it expanded westward. It's crucial to remember that these ancient people weren't static entities, but dynamic societies constantly adapting to their environment. The end of the Solutrean era wasn't so much an extinction as it was an evolution. Their innovations in stone tool technology, art, and hunting techniques didn't vanish. They were built upon and refined by subsequent generations. Today, archaeologists continue to unravel the mysteries of this transition. Each new discovery, be it a stone tool, a cave painting, or ancient DNA, adds another piece to the puzzle. The story of the Solutreans' decline and the rise of the Magdalenians serves as a fascinating case study in cultural dynamics, reminding us that change is the only constant in human history. As we reflect on this ancient transition, we're invited to consider our own place in the grand sweep of human cultural evolution. What aspects of our current society might fade away, and what new innovations lie just over the horizon? The Solutrean legacy challenges us to embrace change while honoring the ingenuity of those who came before us. Number 1. Modern research challenges. In the high-stakes world of archaeology, few topics spark as much debate as the Solutrean hypothesis. This controversial theory, which once set the academic world ablaze, now finds itself under intense scrutiny. As researchers dig deeper into the Ice Age past, they're unearthing new challenges that call into question long-held beliefs about these ancient Europeans and their potential connections to the New World. At its core, the Solutrean hypothesis proposed a bold idea: that the first Americans weren't Asian migrants crossing the Bering Strait, but European hunter-gatherers who braved the icy Atlantic in boats made of animal skins. It was a captivating narrative that captured the public imagination and ignited fierce academic debates. But as the dust settles and new evidence comes to light, the tide of scientific opinion is shifting. Recent studies have put the Solutrean hypothesis through its paces, and the results are raising eyebrows across the archaeological community. One of the primary challenges lies in the realm of genetics. Advanced DNA analysis of ancient remains in the Americas has failed to reveal any significant European genetic markers dating back to the Solutrean period. This absence of genetic evidence is a significant blow to the hypothesis, as one would expect to find traces of European ancestry if a substantial migration had occurred. Moreover, the timeline proposed by the Solutrean hypothesis is coming under fire. The earliest well-established human settlements in the Americas date back to around 15,000 years ago, several thousand years after the Solutrean culture had already faded in Europe. This chronological mismatch poses a significant hurdle for proponents of the theory. Another challenge comes from the realm of technology. While similarities between Solutrean and Clovis stone tools initially sparked the hypothesis, closer examination has revealed crucial differences. The manufacturing techniques and materials used in these tools are distinct enough to suggest independent development rather than a direct cultural link. The logistical feasibility of a transatlantic crossing during the Ice Age is also being questioned. While the Solutreans were undoubtedly skilled hunters and toolmakers, the idea of them navigating the harsh iceberg-filled waters of the North Atlantic in primitive watercraft stretches the limits of plausibility for many researchers. The extreme cold, lack of food sources, and navigational challenges pose significant obstacles that are difficult to reconcile with the available evidence. Environmental studies have added another layer of complexity to the debate. Reconstructions of Ice Age climate and ocean conditions suggest that any potential Atlantic crossing would have been even more perilous than initially thought. The prevailing winds and currents of the time would have made an east-to-west journey incredibly challenging, if not impossible, with the technology available to Solutrean people. However, it's important to note that the scientific process thrives on challenges to established theories. While the Solutrean hypothesis may be losing ground, the intense scrutiny it has attracted has led to valuable new insights into both Solutrean culture and the peopling of the Americas. The debate has spurred advancements in archaeological techniques, pushed the boundaries of ancient DNA analysis, and encouraged researchers to think creatively about prehistoric human migrations. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of our ancient past, it's clear that the story of human migration and cultural development is far more complex than we once thought. The challenges facing the Solutrean hypothesis serve as a reminder that in archaeology, as in all sciences, we must be willing to revise our theories in light of new evidence. For now, the consensus is shifting back towards a Beringian origin for the first Americans, but the legacy of the Solutrean debate lives on. It has taught us the importance of rigorous scientific scrutiny, the value of interdisciplinary research, and the need to approach even the most enticing theories with a healthy dose of skepticism. As we forge it ahead, each new discovery and technological advancement brings us closer to understanding the true story of our ancient ancestors. The Solutrean culture, regardless of its connection to the Americas, remains a fascinating chapter in human history, one that continues to challenge our perceptions and push the boundaries of archaeological research. We are coming to an end here today. Thanks for watching. And for such top listing videos, subscribe to our channel.